Welcome back to the MyLatinLife podcast. Since 2014, MyLatinLife has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is David Smith, General Manager at Paraguay Farming. We love Paraguay, we love farming, we've combined the two, and we welcome David Smith to the podcast.
Good morning, Brendan. Thank you for having me, or I should say good afternoon where you're located. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be, presenting this investment to your listeners and followers. This, as you know, is our second podcast with you. So I thought I would present the investment and all the aspects of why someone should invest in farming and invest in Paraguay today. So I'd like to start by talking about the general layout of the investment. First of all, it's a passive income hard asset. Okay, and I think that's very important for people to know that you would invest in one of the lots in Paraguay that has persimmon trees on it. And you actually own the land, you own the trees, and you own the irrigation system that's on the lot in the farm. So it's a hard asset, titled asset, and it's passive income because you make the investment and the farming company does everything else for you. Okay. So why would you want to invest in agriculture? Well, one of the primary reasons is because fundamentally investing in agriculture is a good hedge against inflation. Okay. Because as you know, food prices are continually rising. And so there's continuing profit in growing food. Okay. Why invest in Paraguay? Well, Paraguay, many people didn't. I mean, I didn't know this many years ago when I got involved in Paraguay, but it is a agricultural powerhouse in Latin America, and it has been for most of its existence. And they primarily grow soybean and beef. They're the third largest soybean exporter in the world, and the sixth or seventh exporter of beef. And then they also have a number of other products like corn, wheat. They grow stevia as well. So That's fundamentally what the economy is made of in Paraguay. And that's one of the reasons why the team from Frutas del Paraguay, which is the Spanish company that actually owns the farm, has been involved in Paraguay for a number of years, because it's very lucrative to do that kind of business there because of labor wages are relatively reasonable. And one reason, and very important reason, is because the price of electricity is very, very low, because Paraguay is one of the largest exporters of electricity in the world. So it keeps the cost down. The land is reasonable as well, and you have a very, very good workforce. So I think that once you read this information, I mean, our brochure has a lot more detailed information than I'm giving you right now. And of course, we'll make that available, that listeners can download this and contact us and so forth. So why invest in bright red persimmons? Well, this is a very interesting aspect of what we offer, because most people don't know about persimmons. Frankly, I didn't know about it either. I'd heard of it, but I'd seen it in some of the fruit stores, but I'd never actually eaten one. And so when you really do some research on it, you realize that this is a fruit from Asia. It was it was grown in Japan first, and then of course China is a big grower of it. And in the European Union, in the southern parts of Europe, in Spain and Italy, they grow it as well. But what makes our offer so interesting is that because we're in the southern hemisphere, we can provide persimmons in the off season in Europe. and charge a premium price for that. So that's really our market. We grow it in the off season in South America, and then we export it to Europe, and we have a large distribution for that, and it's because it's very, very popular there. Another place that is quite popular that I didn't realize was Canada. Big market in Canada as well, But primarily we ship everything to the European Union. So this is really the key to what we're offering, and the company Frutas del Paraguay has a very, very strong history of doing agricultural business in Paraguay. They've built various greenhouses. They've done orange plantations. They've also they have a very big Mennonite group down there that they've done, grapefruit projects with them. So they have a lot of history in Paraguay, and as well as Spain and other places. So there's a lot of, real experience here and knowing how to get things done. And basically they're very, very conscientious of higher production. They are ahead of the game for, mitigating things like climate change, saving water, all of these things. So they're really, really looking to always keep this farm in its best condition for its highest production capacity. So I think that's very important to remember as well, because I think all of the farmers around the world are going to eventually be, faced with, how do you save water? How do you combat, long heat
and Paraguay has water, because people don't know this, but Paraguay sits on top of like the biggest aquifer in the world, something like that.
That's correct. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, underneath the farm there's 3 or 4 wells plus a small lake reservoir on. So we always have plenty of water, But nevertheless, they need to do things like net protection for sun, different kinds of insects and birds and things. So you have to really, really, put out the investment to make sure that you can grow the best quality of food and increase the production of the persimmons. Because if you look at the ROI forecast, trees like oranges, lemons, limes, persimmons, they all have a curve of growth and production. So, these trees are already producing. This is the 3rd year that we've exported. But the growth curve is around year 14, 15, 16. That's the highest growth. That's the highest production of the trees. And then it goes down the curve. And then, 20 years from now, the investors and the company will decide what is going to be the next product. Are they going to continue with persimmons? Are they going to change it to something else? Because who knows what the market's going to be like in 20 years? No one can actually predict that, but we do know what the production scale of the trees are. So that's very important for all of the investors, because all of the investors and the company are in this together as a team. So that means the insurance for the farm, the production, the infrastructure, maintenance, and all of this is a group effort, because this farm is self-insured. So it's insured by way of the investors and also the company, because this is an issue in some South American countries where agricultural insurance is not readily available. So what Paraguay Farming has decided to do, Frutas del Paraguay, is to self-insure. So that way, the investors and the company are all in the team, and they decide, okay, if something happens to the water system or the trees or whatever the case may be, they collectively decide what is going to be the countermeasures to do this. So I think that this is also very important for people to understand that, there is a backup system, to this. And so that just ensures their investment. and gives them a certain comfort level. Okay. Yeah, so that's really, what we're promoting, and they have a very good track record. They've paid out already to the current investors, and things seem to be moving well. This year, they're projecting a greater total production than last year, so that's a good sign that
that makes sense, right? Every year it kind of goes up a bit.
It's going up the curve. Yeah. However, I want to be, the first to say that no one can guarantee a production or a harvest. Mother Nature sometimes she has her own idea that, maybe not enough rain or maybe not enough sun or whatever that may be. But all things considered, currently everything is going according to plan. Okay. So we're pretty happy about that. Now, to break down what the investment is and how it works it's very simple, actually. It's 2 contracts. So the first contract is for the land, and that is a real estate investment. The second contract is what they call a farm service agreement. So what that means is the investor buys the land, and then they make a farm service contract with Frutos del Paraguay that they manage their land for them. They do everything. So that's basically what that is. And then, of course, another part of the contract is all payouts are made no later than July 31st of every year. That's in the contract. Because our harvest time is February, March, and then shipping in April. And then, of course, once we ship to our buyers and things like that, it takes a while to get the accounting put together. Also, by the way, the company will also pay the income tax for the investors in Paraguay. So the ROI that is sent out in July is net after taxes and all cost. And then later in the year, by November, December, then the investors will receive an official document from the Paraguay government confirming that the taxes was paid.
Right. Okay. So that you could use it as like a tax credit against your U.S. taxes or something.
Yes.
Yeah. A foreign tax credit. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Taxes
in Paraguay for the audience are like 5 or 10%.
Yeah. Well, it depends a little bit on what the investment is, but in the case of agriculture, it's 15%.
Oh, really? What?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It's 15%. That's correct. Yeah, which is much lower than, for example, in Europe.
For sure.
Yeah, you pay 20, 25 or 30 on it, but the agriculture for international investors who don't live in Paraguay, who don't have a bank account there, it's 15%. Everything that leaves the country.
It's kind of like withholding or whatever. Okay.
Right. Now, in the case of if you had a residency there, and you had a bank account, and the funds are sent to that bank in Paraguay, it's 10%.
There you go.
It's 10%.
Can I use this moment to plug Paraguay residency?
Sure, absolutely. Sure.
Well, what are the odds that MyLatinLife is an immigration consultancy that helps people get residency in Paraguay? And it's not that expensive. A couple $1,000, you get residency in Paraguay. We can get it for your whole family. And it would basically pay for itself with the difference between 10 and 15% on these distributions, probably.
That's correct.
So they would probably pay for itself, but it's a good thing to have, even regardless. So just throwing that out there, guys. We do residency for Paraguay if anyone needs. But back to the investment opportunity.
Yeah, so that's basically how it's set up. And then once the contracts are signed and countersigned by Frutos del Paraguay, the client funds to Paraguay. They send the funds directly to Paraguay. And then after the bank has received them, then Frutas del Paraguay sends them a confirmation letter. And then at that point, all the paperwork is done. And then we also provide about every 6 weeks a newsletter to keep people up to date, not only our investors, but also our mailing list of people who follow us, so that they're always aware of what's going on with the farm. And then also, as I mentioned to you before we started the podcast, is that, we have our annual harvest tour in February, which is, well attended. We generally have between 6, 8, maybe 10 people. Some are current investors, some are people that are interested in the investment. But that's a really interesting time to go to the farm, because we have a staff year round of between 10 and 12 people. But during the harvest time, we hire from the local communities about 50 other people.
I can imagine.
That run the processing plant and doing the harvesting, and we prepare everything for international shipment and everything before it goes to the EU. So that's really a good time to go. And we're going to have one this year. We've already sent that out in a newsletter. So that's really the good time to go down there and see that.
And it's one harvest per year, persimmon?
That's correct. Yeah. It's one harvest per year. Then the rest of the time, the trees are a little bit bare until they start around June. Then you see the first flowers come. And then by September, October, then they're just getting larger and larger and larger at the time. Yeah. But it's one year.
If I remember correctly, sorry to interrupt, the farm is in Misiones department?
In Misiones, yeah. It's southeast of Asunción, near Argentina.
Misiones isn't too, I mean, it's kind of far. It's not too far, right? Like, how far is the drive from Asunción?
It's about 4.5 hours.
Okay. It's doable.
Yeah, it's doable. Well, it wouldn't be quite as long, but getting out of Asunción, there's a lot of traffic. That takes us. It's quite a while. Once we get out of the city limits, then it goes pretty well. But it's about 4.5 hours. And generally, when we have the tours, everyone stays in Asunción, but then we also visit some areas around Misiones. We have a nice lunch there and things like that. And then we drive back. Yeah. So it's a one-day tour.
Right. I think there's some Jesuit missions out there people could go check out.
There are. Yeah, there are Jesuit
like UNESCO World Heritage Site.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. So, it's quite an interesting time to go. We also do from time to time, and depending on the schedule of our investors or people that are interested, we can on some occasions organize a private tour. But we have to coordinate that with the Frutas del Paraguay team, because they're from Valencia, Spain. But there's always there's a third partner. There's 3 partners in the company, and one of them is Paraguayan, and he's also an agricultural engineer. So he lives very near Misiones, and so he's there all the time. And then the other 2 gentlemen, Ignacio and Miguel, they come to Paraguay every month. Either both of them or one of them. They spend a week or 2 there all the time. So if we have someone that wants to go down there, we just want to make sure that one of them are there when they arrive. And sometimes I will escort them down there as well, or Daniel, my colleague, whom you know quite well. So we can always kind of make that work, because a lot of people, they like to see it. They want to touch it, and we understand that. So we're always, open to any kind of private tour. No issues at all.
Totally. For anyone that hasn't been to Paraguay, I mean, going into the countryside is one of the most fun things you can do in Paraguay. The roads are like bright red. They have this red soil it's crazy. Yes. And then have you done this where you get the chipa on the way? It's like, you know what chipa is, right? It's like a sort of like a cheese bagel. It's like the typical Paraguayan food is the chipa. and
Yeah,
they
the
have these little
stands on
like,
the side of the road. Yeah,
yes, exactly. And so
right,
you're on your
right.
4 hour drive and you hit a stoplight or something, and then these chipa ladies like come out of nowhere with like a huge basket on their head full of
Yes,
chipa, which are like bagels basically.
yes,
And
yes.
it's like all part of the experience.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have lived in Latin America for many years and different countries and traveled a lot. But I have to say that one of the things that I like about Paraguay is the people are just very friendly. They're especially if you're a foreigner. They just go out of their way and they're really nice and helpful. And whether you can speak Spanish or not, they always find a way to communicate with you. And so
Yeah.
I think that's one of the strongest assets of Paraguay. They're hardworking people.
Uh-huh.
Uh, they seem to be very conscientious, and they're just generally really nice people. You know, I met some really
Yeah,
nice
no,
people.
they are. You're not just saying it; like they really are. It's kind of crazy. I would say
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Paraguayans and maybe Mexicans are like the nicest in Latin America.
it could be.
Panama, not so much. I mean, depends.
It depends. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think in Colombia they're pretty nice in Colombia as well. People are. It depends. I think. Paraguay is. It's kind of a unpolished gem.
Right.
That keeps getting more polished. And there's a lot of. We stay at the Sheraton Hotel when I go down there, and I see a lot of business people from all over the world coming in there. Germans, Americans,
Hmm.
Brits, and they're all involved in all these expanding businesses in the country. My understanding is there's also going to be a lot of digital nomads, excuse me, coming down there because
Hmm.
it's quite reasonable to live there.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I've been going down there for over 10 years, and I've seen a lot of changes. So. Yeah, excuse me. The country is very stable politically, socially, and it's a very Catholic country. So they're conservative, but also their debt ratio is very low compared to a lot of different countries.
True.
So
Like debt to
it's
GDP, very low.
the
Yeah.
GDP, the debt to
Yeah.
GDP is quite reasonable, and
Hmm.
I think before COVID it was even lower. So it's a very safe country to be in, and
Hmm.
like I say, I've always enjoyed it. I never really knew much about it beforehand, but I've been down there many times, and it's always been nice. It's always been nice. It's been a really good experience, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, we welcome visitors to come down to the farm.
Steak
Yep.
dinners. I can see it already.
Yes, yeah. If you're a steak eater, it's heaven. It's well, you got Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina. That's all the steak, the big steak area, as you know, in South America. So yes, yes, very very good food, and again, the prices are reasonable. It's
Hmm.
compared to Panama, which is where I live, and it's becoming rather expensive,
Mm.
frankly. Uh, but yeah, in Paraguay, it's quite reasonable.
You know
So
what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a persimmon marmalade, like a jam, like a persimmon jam. I'm gonna put it on my steak.
wow. Okay.
That's my idea. Okay, moving on. So I know you wanted to mention a little bit about some of the developments in the business. Something about a Spanish fruit buyer or just new clients or new developments with the business. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. This is. Thank you, Brendan. Yeah, this is a current event that's just taking. It's in the process right now of taking place. But I spoke with Miguel, who's the CEO of Frutos del Paraguay, and he told me a few weeks ago that they've finally put together a deal with one of the biggest fruit distributors in Spain, and they also. Import into Spain. There's persimmons grown in Peru and Brazil, but the cycle up there, the the growing season is a little bit earlier than what ours is. So now that we have our production up to a level that they need, they're putting together a deal now with this company that they are going to buy all of the harvest. They're going to buy the grade A fruit and the grade B fruit, because in all of these kinds of, citrus trees, what have you, lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, you have a grade of fruit. And what I mean by that is, when you're shipping an apple or an orange or persimmons to a supermarket, it has to be flawless. It can't have any blemishes or can't have any dark spots or anything like that. So that's called grade A fruit. Then you have a grade B fruit where you might have a little bit of that, but there's another market for that as well. So before we were sending that to Brazil. Now this company is just going to buy the entire harvest, and very important for us is that they are going to be in charge of the logistics of shipping it. So for Frutas del Paraguay, this is, very, very good, because that is one of the biggest challenges of shipping all the time, especially when you're shipping from South America to Europe. It's possible you could have a container late and things like that, because, once you turn it over to the shipping company, then, things are out of your control. But a big, importer and exporter like this company in Spain, they know how to do this very well. And they're very, very experienced in South America, because they've shipped a lot of product. So what we're going to do, and what anyone who goes on our tour will see in February, is that we will prepare all of the containers, everything. I mean, we have it in the freezer first, and then we put it in the shipping. We have all the European documents that's necessary on every single container, and then they're going to come and pick it up. So this is, for us, I think, one of the most attractive parts of signing this deal, because that leaves us down to production and as much grade A fruit and stuff that we can produce. Of course, they get a special price. That's understandable. But that means, I think, at the end of the day, this provides a certain kind of security for our investors that will hit the ROI. Because when you spread it out,
they're buying the whole supply, or
they're not buying. No, they will be shipping it by boat. Yeah.
No. I said buying. So, are they committing to purchase like the whole output, or just some, like a certain percentage of the output? Do you know?
All of it. They're going to buy 100%. They're going to buy 100%. Yeah. And so, of course, they get a, if you buy everything, you get a little bit lower price, but at the end of the day, it lowers our cost as well. Transport, things like that. So that, I think, provides a certain level of security that we'll be able to attain the projected ROI, or if not, come very, very close. So I think that's the big key of this. Now, we're going to have more information. I think January we'll have the detailed information on what the contract states and the name of the company and things like that. But yeah, this is a very, very big event for us.
And no promises. Like, I'm sure the deal could potentially fall through. Knock on wood, toca madera. But because I don't want to have to, like, in post production be like, hey, the deal didn't go through, we got to cancel that part of the episode or something. But you never know. But it's interesting. This is something I was going to ask earlier. It's like the EU has very strict regulations around food and the pesticides and everything. Certainly Correct. More strict than Canada and the US. But you've already been shipping to the EU this past year, so you already kind of have that proof of concept.
Well, we started in 2023. If you remember, I mentioned the other day that I went to Valencia, Spain, after the persimmons arrived in the processing plant to ship them out to the supermarkets. But yes, when we do the harvest, we have a special system to put these stickers on every box that has the codes and everything for the EU. Because if you don't have that on there, they won't accept it. Because we have approval for that. So we have a special code for us. Yes, you're correct. The restrictions are very tight, but we now have 2 years of shipping up there. So 23 and 24, and then at 25 we shipped, and then next year we're gonna ship again. So next year will be the 4th year that we've been shipping up there.
Yeah, this is
So
super
we won't do
interesting.
the shipping. They will do the shipping. We will do the harvest, and we will do the preparation. But the good thing about this, and going back to your point of, if something falls through or not, the good thing is, from my understanding with Miguel, is that this is a very serious company. He's known the owners of this company for a number of years. So he said they're pretty much to their word. If you have the product, they want it, especially persimmons, because as I said in the beginning, this is a northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere market. So they'd really like to get as much as certainly have grade A and grade B. So I think, we'll see. We'll see. But I think I think it'll work. And, sometimes, you have to have a plan B, and Miguel has a plan B as well. That's important.
Totally. So, anything else you feel like we didn't cover in terms of maybe how the investment works, or just anything else that you want to get out there regarding the opportunity?
Oh, well, yes, I do. Oftentimes we're asked about liquidity on this. And, in the past, in the case of the persimmons, it's a functioning business for the investors. So the investors, when they sign the contract, they're gonna receive money. Okay. In that case, we don't have any investors that are offering to sell their lot, but if they did, we have a short list of people who are looking for to buy in productive lots like that people want to resell. They could sell it because they have a track record of making money. So it might take, I don't know, depends on the time of year and so forth, but it could take us a month or maybe a couple of months to find a buyer. But certainly it's liquid in the way that it's a title that's transferable. And it's an investment that has a proven track record, because the investor could show their return documents. Everyone gets an accounting document, in July, showing what the costs were, what was paid, taxes paid, insurance paid, and everything. So they could present that to the investor, and ultimately, they're selling the lot, they're selling the trees that belong to them. So I believe they could get more for the lot than what they paid. It's more valuable. And, generally I would say depreciation on agriculture land in general, just across the board, is about 2% a year. Appreciation. It depends on where it is, what it is, but as a general rule in Latin America, that's what you'd be looking at. So in addition to what the investment is worth now, 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, you have the appreciation about 2% a year on the land. Okay. So I think it would be a plus for anyone that wanted to liquidate.
Dovetailing on liquidity a little bit, you might not know the answer to this, and that's all right, but are you seeing people at all making the purchase through a corporate entity versus in their own names? Like, are they buying using a U.S. LLC or, say, a Panama Foundation or something like that? Or have you seen anything in that regard?
Oh yeah, we've got many investors that have LLCs, many. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no issue buying the property through a US LLC or something?
No, no. In general, I would say many of them have Delaware, Wyoming,
Hmm.
some Nevada LLCs, most often. Yeah. You find also that the investors who do that generally buy either in the beginning or later on, they'll buy more than one lot
Hmm.
in general. Because, for one lot, I don't know. It depends on they all have their own private situation, right? But, for the cost of the LLC and maintenance of the LLC and things like that, it's been my experience that, yeah, their investment is maybe a little bit larger than the normal one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, another shameless plug for the audience. We help people set up US LLCs and Panama
Great.
foundations, Panama SAs, and so forth. So we can always help someone do that as part of the structure. Wyoming LLC only costs maybe $500, and the
Hmm.
annual fees are only a couple $100. So
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
could make sense.
Yeah. Well, certainly, anyone that contacts us from the podcast, I'll be happy to recommend that they contact you for that LLC or whatever it is they want to set up. Uh, yeah, I would say percentage wise, maybe 30% of our clients do that. About 30%.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
In one form or
Yeah.
another.
In one form or another, yeah. But mostly it's LLCs. Other people have corporations as
Mhm.
well. Uh, Once in a while, there's a trust fund, things like that, but that's not very often. Yeah.
Cool. And as
Yeah.
we get to wrapping up, David, I was just curious. You've probably learned a lot being involved in this business, in agriculture investing, and promoting agriculture investments and so forth over the years. What have been some of your epiphanies or aha moments or things that you've learned as you've been doing this for a number of years now?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you. Well, I've learned that the projects that are really, really good and make money are people that are dedicated to what they do, and that's all they do. Uh, Other projects I've been involved with, some of them had some rough spots because they weren't really experts in what they were doing, and they had said like a little rough takeoff. But most of them managed to find the right people to turn it around.
Mm.
Okay, and then honestly, there are of course other projects that didn't do well at all, but it's generally because they don't follow up on the details and maybe they don't have as much experience. Okay. So, what I've learned over the years in my representation of not only agricultural projects, but I used to be involved in real estate as well, uh, primarily in Nicaragua,
Mm.
with the Remax franchises and things like that, is that the people that just concentrated on what they did best, they were the most successful, and I became good at doing my own due diligence of the projects. Okay. So after a while, yeah, you have those aha moments and I'm not sure moments and things like that. But by trial and error, it's managed to work out for me. But it's because I live down here full time and I've seen a lot, and when I was approached by Miguel for the persimmons, my first questions were, why do you want to invite private investors in there? I think, which is a good question, right? I mean, they own everything. And he had two good answers for me. He said, we want to do this because we want to reinvest this money a large portion of this money in improving the farm. Things like climate change, irrigation systems, ozone filters, the netting that they put over the trees, which is there. It's been there for 2 years. So they presented me with a list of things that they wanted to do, and they've done every single one of them, Brendan. So that was what I wanted to know. And then, of course, they also said the second thing we'd like to do after the persimmons is up and running for, maybe 7 or 8, 9 years, we'd also like to look at doing a banana project in the same area in Misiones. So that was their reasons. And to me, I agreed with them. I said, yeah, that's a good thing to do, So I kind of stuck myself out there and said, yes, okay, I can do this. I'm familiar with Paraguay, but, you always sort of have that hold your breath moment until the promises are kept. And I can say very, very clearly, they have done everything that they told me they were going to do, and perhaps a little bit more. And every year, during the year, they're just upgrading something. Like last year, they upgraded all the freezer systems. They put another dock in the processing plant for trucks to get into. So they're constantly reinvesting some of the investors' money in the asset. They're making it more valuable. So I'm very, very happy with that. It's and the communication is excellent, which is another downfall of not only agriculture, but real estate projects and all this is that, some people are just not good communicators, and of course, I'm a professional. I've been in sales and marketing all my life. And I know that communication is number one, no matter what, whether it's good news or bad news, you need to communicate. And so what I really like about Frutas del Paraguay and is that Miguel has direct contact with all the investors, all the financial statements, everything like that is sent directly from Frutas del Paraguay to the investor. I don't need to be the middleman involved in that. I mean, they're the two that are investing and working together. I'm sort of a conduit of that. Of course, I communicate with the investors as well, but the primary communication source is the CEO of the company. And so that means the investors can email Miguel anytime, and they're great communicators. If I send him an email at 8:00 in the morning, an hour or two later, I've got a response. But if I send him a WhatsApp message, almost right away. And that's invaluable because, when my clients ask me something, hey, what about this? Or can you tell me about this? If I don't have the answer, I go get it. So that's really important. Communication, I think that also causes problems when there's no constant and really important communication between the investor and the seller. So they're very, very good at that. I think that was another thing that impressed me with them very much as well, the communication. And I've been to Spain. I've seen their operation. They grow persimmons in Spain as well, and oranges. They have all those kinds of businesses over there as well. So I've been there. I've seen them. I know their families. Very, very hardworking and honest and professional people. I can assure you.
Yeah. Love it. So I guess we'll wrap it up there. For the audience, for anyone who's interested to learn more about the opportunity, there's a link in the description of this podcast to the landing page where you can, show your interest in the project. You give your email, your name, and I believe David and his team will reach out and contact you from there, maybe set up a call and kind of explore the opportunity further. So link in the description to check out the page, express interest in the project. And I've spoken to a number of people because we did a first podcast on this a month or two ago. And I spoke to some people and they were like, look, I'm already a Paraguay resident. I don't even need to do this. But it's genuinely a good investment opportunity. And so people, I've heard good feedback so far about the project, and that's partly why I was excited to have you on to learn more about Paraguay farming and the opportunities. So thanks for joining us, David, for the podcast here.
Well, thank you very much, Brendan. It's been a real pleasure, and I'd like to do maybe in a couple of months or after the harvest. Uh, I'd like to do another podcast just to explain, how the harvest went and things like that, and just keep your listeners
That'd be cool.
up to date a little bit.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool.
All right.
Great. So guys, again, link in the description to express your interest in the project. And this has been another episode of the MyLatinLife podcast. Again, our guest today, David Smith, General Manager over at Paraguay Farming. And last thing for the audience, please subscribe to the podcast, follow, whether you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, your favorite podcast player. Leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us grow the show. We put out 2 episodes a week with amazing guests like David, and you won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now.